Hello, my dear listeners. Today we're going to talk about marketing automation. And while the buzzword these days is AI, before there was AI, there was marketing automation. And I want to cover the topic because it's something that a lot of people ask me about and have asked me about over the years. And so wanted to cover the basics of marketing automations, walk you through maybe some of the fundamentals of how to get it set up. What do personas mean? What do journeys, the consideration journey mean? Journey mapping, lead nurturing, all these buzzwords. So since I'm not necessarily a world expert in this topic, I did invite my friend Doug Griffin today to talk about this. He has been working in marketing automation for many years. Doug and I worked together at a couple of agencies way back about 10, 12 years ago. And since then, our paths have gone in different direction. But I know over the years, Doug has really fine-tuned his skills in marketing automation. So I invited him to join the show and talk about what marketing automation is, how to get this thing set up, what to look out for, how to map the journeys, what kind of call to actions work, and what kind of results a business like yours can expect to get when they implement a marketing automation program to get leads and push them through a funnel that leads to more business. So join me with my friend Doug in a few minutes to talk about marketing automation. Welcome to the latest episode of Corner Your Market. I'm your host, Silas Kimide. In this podcast, I talk about all things digital marketing, from website design and development to SEO and PPC, as well as paid advertising, email marketing, social media, and anything in between. If you're a small business owner, a marketing manager in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. So tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. You'll gain some practical insights, new strategies, tactics, and tools that will help you grow your business. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com and select the podcast app of your choice. Then you can hit subscribe within those apps. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review in the app once you've listened to one of our episodes. And today we're going to talk about marketing automation. And to talk about marketing automation, I invited my good friend, Doug Griffin. He is in Colorado. And Doug and I have worked over the years on different marketing projects and things like that. But in the course of our career, Doug has kind of, I would say, become really familiar with, almost an expert. Maybe I could call him an expert in marketing automation, specifically around building strategy for using marketing automation for your business, growing your clientele, increasing your leads, conversions, and things like that. So today I want to welcome Doug. Doug, welcome. Maybe you can introduce a little bit, say something about yourself.
Thank you, Silas. You once again are way too flattering. I like to say I know enough to be dangerous. You know, being an expert's a little high mark.
No, I mean, if you know, you've got a lot of experience, Doug. Don't sell yourself short, man. You know a lot about this stuff. So,
thank you. Yeah, no, like Silas and I had the opportunity once upon a time to be colleagues, and it was a great experience, and great to keep in touch with you over the years. And now I have an opportunity to do this, and let's talk a little marketing automation.
Yeah. I think we were talking before the show started. Marketing automation was really hot, 10, 12 years ago. I think it's still hot. I think it still works. I saw a ROI number the other day in some website. I think it was Statistia. I think that's how you say it. They were saying that for every $1 invested in email marketing, you get $36 back. That's an insane ROI, I think. And I think a lot of that is marketing. A lot of it is marketing automation, right? So why don't you give us a little bit of an overview about marketing automation, how business owners can use it? Because a lot of our listening audience are business owners, marketing managers, entrepreneurs that maybe want to grow their business. So maybe you can give us a little overview of what marketing automation is, and that'd be a good starting point.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, the return on investment on things like marketing automation, and certainly part of it, majority of it is triggered via, utilizing email. But so marketing automation in its most general term, term is self-activating communications triggered by different user behaviors
Okay.
that are out there. I think most people have experienced it in some way, shape, or form. I mean, even in its most basic, you place an order on, for XYZ widget that you want to buy. And the
Yeah.
next thing you get is a confirmation email that you bought XYZ widget. And then a few days later, you might get the shipping confirmation. I'm saying that because I'm actually waiting for a shipping confirmation on something I ordered the other day, but
Okay.
but those are some basic automations. So we've all experienced some of those different automations. Where we talk about marketing automation, really is from a lead generation standpoint, is
Right.
taking known leads that have now turned over their name, maybe they've turned over their email address to you. Now you capture them in some sort of database or a CRM system. So marketing automation systems, generally speaking, have some sort of back-end database or a CRM triggered with or
Okay.
connected with them,
Yeah.
whether it's Salesforce or other marketing automation platforms like HubSpot or Keep have an integrated CRM system, but they also will talk to the big CRMs,
Right.
customer relationship management systems like your Salesforce, or other systems that you might have set up.
So any kind of inbound traffic that comes to your website, right, could be funneled into your marketing automation system, right?
Absolutely. So, for example, you have created just a wonderful blog or some content. I know a couple of weeks ago you talked about the importance of content creation.
Yeah.
That goes out there. Maybe it gets picked up on SEO, on search engines, and people come in. And in that blog content, have a strong call to action of, hey, download our study on this, or download our ebook on this. And the user then fills out a form.
Mhm.
And they give you your name, you get their email address, and then they get a follow-up email that has that ebook
Right.
attached to it.
And then there's a
The
sequence of emails. Do you normally have a sequence of emails based on the actions that they take on that first email?
You absolutely can. You can continue to market to them, and this is really where um, having a plan and having a customer journey plan outlined is important. You
Right.
could do some very basic lead capture and then lead automation just from a simple journey, like we just described. Here's
Right.
our ebook, fill out this form, get it. Boom, that lead is now in your database, in your CRM system. And if you want, you can call them, you can reach out to them, send them subsequent emails, so on and so forth. But if your business has a longer sales cycle, you may find that they need to be nurtured a little bit longer. And that is a
Right.
key component of marketing automation. We call them nurtures and setting up nurture journeys
Right.
for them.
Okay.
So, so
How deep does it actually have to be? Like I'm asking almost like you picking your brain here for a particular client I'm working with right now, actually. So
well, you don't want to know my fee.
oh, okay. So that they have a situation where we're basically running YouTube ads, right?
Oh,
So
gosh. Okay,
people are
good.
watching YouTube ads, and then they're going to a landing page, and then on the landing page they sign up to receive. Right now, they're receiving 7 tips, and each of those tips are divided up as a single email. Do you think you need to have 7, 8? Is there a particular number of communication you work with, or you just keep going until they convert?
Keep going. Really, you want to make sure that you know that target audience, right?
Hmm.
And this is where going back and understanding who they are, what are their needs, what sort of further information are they going to need to eventually convert? What is that conversion path? Um, so, not knowing, much about your persona, but
Right.
we generally do know any sales site, any sales funnel has some basic ingredients in it, right? We
Yeah.
know that they're a new lead. We've just newly engaged them. They've now downloaded our 7 tips.
Right.
So, you know, now would be, after they download that, it would be good to get them into a nurture sequence that maybe re-emphasizes each one of those 7 tips. Absolutely. Now, is there a magic number? Again, until we know what your target audience is and how much information they need to eventually get to that point where they're ready to convert. They're ready to talk to a sales representative, for
Yeah.
example. Because after, just simply downloading 7 tips, they may not be ready.
Right.
And that's the wonderful thing about marketing automation systems is you can see how they begin to engage with that content. Did they open this email? If they open this email, they get a point or 2 points or how many points you want to assign to them until they reach a point threshold where you decide that this is now a hot prospect and we would consider this a sales qualified lead. And then you could turn it over to your sales team to follow up with them. But again, I'll line up just to start. I'll always line up sales journeys just based on a basic sales funnel, right? We got a new lead who, they are now they're at the top of the funnel. We call it tofu, top of the funnel.
Tofu.
And, they've engaged with maybe a white paper or something like that. And so at that point, you just want to send them some relevant news, some relevant information. Maybe it is an infographic or other, tied in industry news that they might find it, helpful for them.
Yeah.
Once they engage with that, well, maybe we'll consider them now a little bit more mid-funnel. In the mid-funnel stage, generally speaking, people are looking for more education. So maybe you send them a more in-depth white paper.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're looking for, here at this point in the mid-funnel, competitive drips, emails that, do side-by-side comparison, our service versus their service,
Right.
So on and so forth. Maybe third-party reviews of how you stack up against the competition, case studies,
Okay.
testimonials, those sorts of things that are a little bit more educational centric about your product. And then if they engage with that, well, then, now they're looking for that industry expertise, right? So now they go into that part of the funnel where we want to close the sale. So their industry reports, maybe there's some press releases. Maybe there's some timed discounts or specials that you want to get out there.
Right.
So those would be kind of things that we might want to think about towards the end of that funnel and that sales cycle.
So what you described here, I mean, we used a couple of words, we in marketing and like in
we use lots of words.
We have a lot of words and a lot of very specialized acronyms and terminologies. And I think a couple of words
sometimes we make them up.
Yeah, we do make them up. I remember in the early days of SEO, clients would look at us and say, "This is voodoo." But anyway, that's besides the point. But the funnel, so the funnel is basically just a journey that you just described, right? So everybody goes through that journey. Like even when we're buying something, we're going through that journey, whether we know it or not, we're going through that journey, right? And then you also talked about, I guess, nurturing and funnel is the same thing. You also talked about persona. And we work with a lot of small businesses, and I think most of the audience are small businesses. And sometimes persona seems like a big business. You got to hire consultants to do and all that kind of stuff. How would you recommend a small business owner or maybe a marketing manager at a small company? How would they go about getting personas in your experience?
Personas are you don't really need to overthink them.
Right.
Personas are largely, hey, this is our target audience, right?
Right.
We know that this is, this could be, so and so. They live here. That they are this age. This is what they try to do for this company. This is their key needs. And so really challenging yourself, really thinking through, okay, what are some of the main messages? Understanding what their needs are versus, compared to what we offer that they would need to understand.
Right.
What would need to be communicated to them. Understand what might be their barriers to adoption. What might be some of their concerns about adopting your product, adopting your service. And again, then taking those, hey, these are the concerns we have that they might have that could be barriers, and aligning that to well, here's what we can say to counter this. Here's our story that we might want to counter that. So you can line up those, hey, these are our primary concerns, but these are our primary messages that
Right.
we would use to address that. And and then couple that with an understanding what is the persona's decision making process for
Yeah.
these things.
And I also find that once I totally agree with you, you don't need to overthink it, because a lot of business owners kind of have an idea for who their clients are. At least they should, who their
Mm-hmm.
customers are. And there's so much information on the web, right? So if you find out that your ideal customer is between 25 to 36, male, living in this particular region, you could go do a quick search on the internet, find out more about them. What do they like? Where do they go? What are some of the things that that they prefer? Do they have kids? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a pretty good idea of who they are. And then in those email sequences, you could try to touch on those things, right? And try to become a little bit more of an expert on
Yeah.
them, so that you can connect with them a little bit more, because that's what you're trying to do in that automation.
And you make an excellent point when it comes to personas. Your business owners know their customers the best.
Yeah.
And so when we will work through with a client through a persona, we'll make them think about an existing customer that
Yeah.
they already know. Who might be their best customer in this persona? Think about that person. And then when we're going through and we're talking about those different things, their needs, their challenges, and what they do, they already have that frame of reference.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that helps out a lot. If you can actually think about and actually really visualize a real customer that it makes the persona process a lot easier than if you're trying to work it out of fiction.
Yeah, yeah. So switching gears slightly here, we talked about the fundamentals of marketing automation, but what about some of the tools that you referenced there? How hard is this for somebody to set up? I mean, is it expensive? Do they have to hire a high fee person like you, Doug, or can they do it themselves? Or talk a little bit about that, like the nitty gritty of how do you get this thing set up? What are some tools out there? Fundamentals? Can you do it on your own? Is it better to hire somebody to do it?
I generally think, first of all, yeah, I wish I had a high fee.
You do?
But, some of the fun
Are
of
you just charging me a high fee? You're saying you're not charging other people high fees?
only you.
Damn.
Yeah, dang. Oh, well, I'm trying to give you a deal though.
Oh,
No,
okay.
um, preparation when it comes to these different tools is do your homework. There's a lot of different tools that are available out there. Obviously, the first thing you really need is you need a website,
Right.
and you need a website that that you've thought about how your personas use and would interact with that website. You've taken time to think about different call to actions that are going to be on that website. And apart from, of course, making sure it's mobilely optimized, able to work with, SEO and the search engine is very important, because a lot of marketing automation does respond to inbound.
Right. Meaning
People.
inbound meaning somebody's already been there and signed up. Right.
Exactly. So at that point, it can be daunting.
Okay.
And usually this is when you might want to consult with somebody who knows some of these platforms, because there are some integrations that may need to be built, that may need to be developed based on your website. Certainly, there are a lot of marketing automation platforms. Most of them are going to come with some sort of integration or an API that's ready to go, but
That connects to your website.
that connects to your website. But you're going to have to get in there and probably play with it a little bit, set it right up,
Yeah.
and make sure that things are talking correctly and able to
So you're
get
talking
tested
about
out.
things like HubSpot, Marketo, Keep is
Hubs,
another one that we come across a lot, right? Even MailChimp does a lot of these things, right? Are they
yeah,
evolving to be more of a marketing automation versus just email
they're
distribution?
absolutely. And this is where you want to do your a little bit of homework and just see what you think you might need. Because all these different systems, whether it's a HubSpot, which is really a great mid-tier, to enterprise level CRM,
Yeah.
and marketing automation platform, and it's called HubSpot because they create all these different hubs that can plug in
Yeah.
there. You can even, they have a hub that you can manage your Google ad campaigns,
Do they
through
really?
that
That
hub.
that I did not know. I've
Yeah.
used HubSpot for a while and I don't remember. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And then of course, you can manage that. And of course, if you're connecting those two different marketing automation campaigns and email campaigns, well, it's all kind of built in one system for you, depending on,
Yeah.
what hubs you want to subscribe to.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like we
MailChimp.
need to. I feel like we need to do a whole podcast on just CRM systems we've worked with. Because I've got opinions on a lot of them too. So
I've worked on Excel a lot. Excel's a
have you
great
really?
CRM, and we'll still run into clients. Hey, tell me about your CRM system. It's like, well, it's an Excel spreadsheet. Well,
Right. Yeah.
at least you have
Something.
something.
At least it's digitized, right? At least it's
It's
digitized. You
digitized.
you can import that into something. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sticky
then,
notes not so easy to import.
yeah, not so easy to import. But I mean, so you have the website, then you connect it to a CRM system that you choose after you do some homework. And then based on the system itself, then you have to go and map out these journeys and these things, right, into those systems. So now you got to put all the content in there, the rules in there and things like that.
And absolutely, you're gonna, again, you're gonna want to think about, what sort of journeys you're gonna want to build right off the bat.
Yeah.
And again, this is where it might be wise to kind of, once you even have your system together and you've got it built and it's been tested, whether you've decided, hey, I want to go with MailChimp, or I want to go with HubSpot, or, maybe, because we really like Salesforce, we're going to go ahead and adopt Pardot.
Right.
Or maybe we're already using Oracle, Oracle and, Adobe. So maybe we want to go with Eloqua or Marketo or something like those things. So you want to think about, those sort of integrations.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally, you got the MailChimps, which are good for small business and basic automation. And you got, Keep, might be another tier up for that. And then you got HubSpot. But absolutely, once they're set up, work with somebody who can, plan out some of these initial journeys, get them set up for you, get them tested, and make sure you work with somebody who can actually also train you on these things.
Yeah.
Rather than just always being at somebody's beck and call, to build this, build that. You should, take the time to get trained on being familiar with the tool, even if it's just familiar enough to go in there and make sure that you can see your contacts and be able to pull some data.
Basic things. Things might change. I know I've worked with clients where they're happy with their automation. They just need to update the questionnaire, or they need to update the case file, or whatever it is that they're trying to update, and just simple things like that. Now, we've talked about the nitty gritty stuff a little bit, but what about optimization? Like, how do you run reports monthly to see how these steps are performing? What level of engagement do you have to go back and, because you got to optimize these things, right? You can't it's not a set it and forget it, right? Or is it?
I wish you could say it was,
Okay.
but unfortunately, people are limited by time, right? Generally speaking, and you're gonna always want to optimize things.
Okay.
And certainly when you're setting up a new campaign and emails, most of these automation platforms will allow you to do some testing.
Okay.
On certain aspects, particularly email testing.
Like an A/B test.
A/B test your emails that are going out. Absolutely, and then they'll based on deliverability, based on size. Well, now you know which test will win, which one's most effective.
Now,
they don't.
Question on: have you done a lot of A/B testing? I'm kind of curious how many customers or how many entries you need to do an effective A/B test. Like, is 10-10 good, or 100-100? Or I just haven't really been able to find that number.
Nor have I. But I do know that most of the systems, while they won't, no one's really been able to say, hey, can we set up flow A and test it against flow B? No one's really been able to been effectively able to do that. I know that in the HubSpot user community, that's a big request,
Okay.
but they will default to you should A/B test the emails,
Oh, okay. Got it.
per se,
Yeah.
as part of the best practice. And
Hmm.
certainly, with marketing automation, it does kind of seem like it becomes this, grow. It can become growing, and they can become as big as you want. And as you learn more about your um, customer, about your target audience, and really as you start to see how these funnels are doing and what is their engagement rate, what are their conversion rates, and if you see, hey, yeah, if we plug in another touch point here, we can see a lift of our conversion rate. We've seen it lift now 5%,
Right.
or so on and so forth. You should always be looking at those things. But the most successful thing, once you have the tool and you have some automations, is also making sure that you have the time to apply with content.
Right.
Content is really kind of that driving thing that you need. It's just like a website, right? You wouldn't just build a website and say set it and forget it, and this is our website. You're always going to be
Right.
building in more posts, or you're going to be optimizing this content here. And the same thing is true with your marketing automation. It's okay, well, do we, because you're always going to have a situation too where you're going to have people who you initially made content with, downloaded your 7 tips from your YouTube video, for example, and that's as far as they go.
Right.
So, but you don't want to forget about them, because, maybe 2-3 months from now, they might be ready to re-engage. And this is where it's important to have other content that you can send to them.
Yeah.
Whether it's from, the form of a newsletter, that contains maybe some of your helpful blog
Hmm.
posts,
Yeah.
for them. Maybe have a new case study
Hmm.
that might be relevant to some of the tips that you talked about in the initial YouTube video or
So
whatever. Maybe
re-engaging, yeah, at some point.
re-engaging. Maybe you decide, hey, you know what, we want to re-engage all of you. We're doing a webinar, a Q
Yeah.
and featuring this with a Q&A that can re-engage
Yeah.
some of these things. So again, paying close attention and thinking about, once you have your initial funnel set up, what are the additional content and content strategies that you can do. It really is a long-term investment, and
It
it
is.
does
Yeah. It's
require some capacity of some sort there. And we've had clients, in a previous life of mine, they would buy, you know, HubSpot, or they would buy this and realize that they're short on content, and
unstaffed,
then they would
yeah.
hire, a content agency such as ours to help them create and build upon that content and optimize, and just work with
Right.
them on optimization of those journeys.
So, in your experience, having worked with marketing automation for all these years, are there particular industries that this works well in? Are there industries where, because I'm just thinking of that listener
Hmm.
that says, you know what, it's not going to work in my industry. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it works. It's ubiquitous across in all industries.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we talk about lead nurturing works. And those nurture campaigns typically work well for clients who have long sales cycles,
Yeah.
right? Maybe they're software implementer, or software companies, or they tend to be a little bit more B2B, right? Versus, a dentist, doesn't really have need for, the, for,
Teeth cleaning reminders. We
te-
always get those
now,
reminders, right? To get
now,
postcards.
absolutely. Now you see, that was my next point, though, is there is a need. You can use marketing automation to talk to your customers and make them more loyal to you.
Right.
That is the other side of it. It's not just about, hey, let us get this lead in here and let's convert them to become a customer. You also have to think about what happens after they're a customer.
Right. That's a good point. That's a
And
great point.
you can
Yeah.
set up automations where now they're a new customer. You welcome them into the practice. This is our family dentistry. This is what we stand for. This is the level of service that you can expect from us.
Yeah.
Um,
A
you
lot
know,
of times the marketing automation on that respect is educating your clients, because I can't tell you how many times I've heard not only dentists but similar professions talk about customers, their patients that don't know everything that they do. They think all you guys do is periodontal disease and cleaning of teeth, because that's what you did, but you don't realize
yeah,
that they also do XYZ. So education could be a big part of your marketing automation too. Follow up consistently, sending that email so that people are educated on all of your services and they think of you for those services when that time comes.
yeah, that is absolutely the opportunity to cross sell
Yeah.
different things that you do.
What about some wins? I mean, we don't have to talk about specific companies, but are there any particular wins in your career that sticks out in marketing automation that, this guy did this and it was like, wow, that was amazing, or anything like that? I mean, I know I put you on the spot on that one, so I'll let you kind of think it through a little bit, but or we could come back to it in a little bit.
Oh, we see several wins all throughout. I mean, you know, I've we had a client, when marketing automation was the new fandangled thing, and we were utilizing HubSpot, and they sold solar
Oh, okay.
equipment, believe it or not, of all things, and just really getting in front of architects and at the ground level of when they're designing and trying to build these net free, zero free energy was the big thing, and educating them on solar first and
Right.
foremost, on how it can help them achieve their net energy needs. And then, again, if they engaged with that piece in that white paper, then it became a little bit more, okay, so now we know that you're kind of interested in solar.
Yeah.
Now, hey, here's some case studies on how how XYZ client, XYZ builder, was able to achieve these sorts of results.
Yeah.
And then if they engaged with that, then we were able to, we set up a calculator for them where they could start to put in some of their pre-build information into the website. It was, capture, that information. And once they capture that, you would provide them with a report, and then we knew that it was ready for their
They were
sales
ready.
team
Yeah,
to
they were ready for
engage.
this. Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
so. In a way, you've kind of marketing automation helps you take that person that is kind of just kicking tires, so to speak,
mhm.
and validates them, educates them, brings them along, so that if there's 100 tire kickers, your salespeople are talking to the 5 or 10 that are the most interested and eager, so that your sales team can then close on that business, right? So
Exactly.
so that's kind of the overall idea, though. So
And it really does unify both those sides of your organization. If you have a marketing team and you have a sales team, they naturally don't get along very well.
right,
Um,
right, right. Who gets
but
along
the
with marketing in any organization? Engineering doesn't get along
exactly,
with marketing either.
they never do. They always
Yeah,
mess up our best ideas.
I know, I
Uh,
know.
but the worst thing is a sales guy is not going to just want a pile of leads from people. This guy who downloaded our 7 tips for whatever. He's like, you really want me to email these guys and follow up with these guys?
Yeah,
And that's another thing that's nice about those nurtures. And if you do have subsequent things for them to download, is like, okay, on my first interaction with you to get this piece of content, I only ask for your name and email.
right.
On the second interaction, where maybe now we know you're a little bit more interested, we want you to download a case study. The neat thing with marketing automation, some of the marketing automation platforms, is we can use progressive forms, because we
Oh, okay.
already know who this person is receiving this. And so we don't need them to fill out their name and email address again. Now,
Right,
to get this case study, we start filling in, have them fill in more information, like, to get this, give us your phone number,
right,
give us
right.
your company name, so on and so forth. And so then all that information starts to build into the database, and the user doesn't feel overwhelmed by having to always re-input information. They're
Because
just
I mean,
supplying their.
salespeople are not cheap. Salespeople, having a sales
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure is very expensive. So the more you can automate, I know AI is the hot topic, but I'm almost going to say automation came before AI.
Mhm.
because this automation basically helps you qualify these leads so that your salespeople are talking to the right people, and your sale cost of sale is lowered subsequently. Because you're right, I don't want to be calling people that are not interested in my service, right? Just a waste of everybody's time.
It really
So
is.
let's get them qualified. So yeah, that's a
Qualify
great
them
overview. Yeah,
and score
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did say one thing, scoring, is that inherently built into these automation tools? So you can basically say salesperson call the person with this score. Is that usually how it works?
Most automation systems have some form of scoring
Okay.
in them, and you have control over what you would consider
A good score.
that's good a good score.
Because I remember
You
seeing that in HubSpot, and I wasn't sure. I think they call it SQL, sales qualified lead, marketing qualified lead.
Mhm.
So you have different scorings that are attached to those, so that
Yeah,
So again,
and,
all in the
and
name of
and
talking to
Keep
the right
uses
person.
kind of an arbitrary little flame thing, and you can even go in there and use flames
Yeah,
and things.
Keep has invaded my dream, aka nightmares, a couple of times. So I don't want to, not disparaging them by any means, but it's a
Yeah, the
complex system. So
and even for sales, I mean, we use speaking of Keep, we've successfully used Keep to set up for our salespeople sales automation journeys.
oh, okay,
So there is another side to it beyond, okay, well, now we got customers and now we're nurturing these leads to make them sales. Well, now once they're a sales qualified lead, you know, setting it up so that, you can set up reminders in the system, like your guy has made this call to the XYZ prospect.
yeah,
You can set up then a trigger that once he marks that, okay, I did this, a reminder for him to call in a couple of days,
right,
follow up on this email, send this email. Oh,
yeah,
now I sent them the proposal. Now have a trigger that then reminds them and Keep, it's been 3 days since you sent the proposals. Time to follow
follow
up
up,
with this
yeah,
person, and they can put all their notes in there. And so you can also set up those sales, even if
yeah,
you're a company that lays floors, you can
right.
set up for your sales team sales
So it
journeys.
sounds like for a company that doesn't have something like this, I mean, most companies have websites. So really, the question is, they need to decide on a system, build a system, and just, it's not a one time thing. It's not like you go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars and get it ready to go. You build it in small pieces, right? You could start, get the system in place first, get the automation going, get a couple of people in there, see how it goes, and just kind of do it a little bit like that. So, Doug,
Yeah.
I think that kind of wraps up marketing automation for me. At least I want to be cognizant of your time. You've been very generous with your time. What is some if I'm listening to this and I know that you are an amazing 80s, what was it, 80s,
Master of 1980s trivia.
you're the master of 1980s trivia. So educate me on something that is, I think we're about the same age. So 80s would have been elementary school through junior high for me, at
Okay.
least
Okay.
touching up on,
Same.
high school in the
Same for
late,
me.
late 80s.
Yeah.
What are some of the high school trivia that we all need to know, or 80s trivia that we all need to know?
Oh, the big one, of course, is what was the first video played on MTV.
Oh, wait, I think I might know that. Is it Dire Straits? No.
No, it was the Buggles. Video killed the radio star.
Is it really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Oh, it
interesting.
was
I
it the
think,
Buggles. I want to say it was the Buggles, but I know it was that song. Yeah.
yeah.
Video killed the radio
Oh,
star.
I know why I'm associating Dire Straits, because Dire
Yeah.
Straits has that song MTV, that so
I
that's kind of
want
cool.
my
Yeah,
MTV.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
there
one.
you go. There you go.
Money for
Yeah.
nothing.
Money for nothing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. I don't know if those lyrics would survive today's censors, but it's definitely
Who knows? Who
who
knows?
knows, man. I don't want to get into
And
that,
and
but
hopefully now you don't have to pay for the rights to that song.
right, 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 right. So well, Doug, I really want to thank you for joining me today. I think this was a great discussion on marketing automation. Where can people go to learn more? Are there tools? I mean, obviously, HubSpot has a lot of resources on this. You could go to Keep's website. There's a lot of resources on Marketo, probably has a lot of information on it as well. So there's plenty of places to go. But if you're listening in, you can also send me an email, from my podcast website, and then I can also help you connect you with Doug if you want to connect with Doug. And so that's pretty much it. Anything else, Doug? I think we covered quite a bit.
No, I agree. The best thing is, check out the resources. I would recommend HubSpot's resources, subscribing to their newsletter, subscribing to their blog. It's always full of, even beyond marketing automation, just wonderful principles of digital marketing. And
if there's one company that I've learned a lot from, I would say it's HubSpot's blogs. I mean, they have so much there. So okay. And then obviously if people want to connect with you, they can find you on LinkedIn as well, right? Just search for Doug Griffin. And I don't think there's more than one in the world. So they'll just find you, right?
They'll just find me. Yeah. just look for my happy face on LinkedIn.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, that kind of wraps up today's show for marketing automation. Again, thank you, Doug. And we will see you next week.
Sounds good.
If you're a small business owner, a marketing manager at a company, or an entrepreneur, please tune in weekly. You'll gain some insights, tips, tricks, and be a bit more enlightened when it comes to digital marketing. I promise you, if you implement the strategies, tactics, and tools I discuss in this podcast, your business will definitely grow. Please subscribe to this podcast. You can do so by going to corneryourmarketpodcast.com and subscribe with the listening platform of your choice. That URL again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Don't forget to like and share this episode with your friends and colleagues. Also, don't forget to leave a review. Those mean a lot to me and can help others that would benefit from the information we share. Finally, I would love to hear from you. I love getting listener emails. So if you have questions, feedback, or any general comment about the topics I discuss on this podcast, feel free to send me an email. I will be sure to share and discuss your feedback on the air if it will benefit our listening audience. You can write to me at connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Just put listener comment in the subject line. That email again is connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. And again, please put listener comment in the subject line. Thanks for listening today. I look forward to being back next week. Until then, be good and do good.